guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. For this video, we hopped on an old power level account, which was kind of crazy. This one actually came out when the Awakened version of Solus was released. So this is a very, very old account when we used to actually do the power leveling. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at the store, we're going to be looking at the shop in a couple different places. And of course, we want to break it down exactly what you need to buy in here. Now, looking at the very basic fundamentals, you want to get the time emblems. This is something that is important every single day. If you ever want the ability to build essentially the Awakened heroes, the time emblems are going to be the requirement. Now, I know they do cost 500 diamonds, but it is well worth getting them every single day. Now, other than that, you do want to buy out items for gold. So focusing on your hero essence out of here, you want to get your elemental shards, and then of course the poke coins. Now, those are the three imperative things that you're getting. Now, if you're earlier into AFK Arena, you could also have the primordial and the amplifying emblems, but you'll actually get to a point where you don't use them anymore as you continue progression and you'll actually stop buying them. And also there is kind of a trade-off between those two because a lot of times early game, you don't have enough gold to really make progression. So a lot of players do sacrifice buying out those emblems to actually build them out. Now you'll notice everything else that is kind of left in here is diamonds. It is very imperative that in early game, especially earlier, is you're building and using all your diamonds to build your heroes versus essentially getting baits, getting cores, getting staffs, things of that nature. These will come much, much later. But again, a recommendation for these, you're going to maybe buy some of them out later game if you're free to play. I don't know a lot of players that even bought them at all. Now, in addition, you can have the ability to get stones in here. So the elite stones and the superb elite stones, buying those out as well is imperative, even though they do cost diamonds, for the simple fact that you're going to have the ability to actually build them up a little bit further. Now, looking at the guild store right here, you can see that we do have the copy of Eugene. Eugene is an absolute priority right now. And then as I make a little bit more progression, there are time emblems out of here. Those are the two primary things you want to buy out of the shop. There's also tier 4 stones that you can get eventually. Again, we haven't, it says I have to finish 2560 to unlock the rest of it. But overall, those are the things. So Eugene being the #1 priority, I would buy the time emblems after that point, which during the course of a month, you'll have enough to buy multiple things in here. And then looking at the tier 4 gear. Now, also remember, dimensional gear comes out of here. So if you're looking at dimensional heroes, this is going to be kind of the trade-off. I mean, I would make sure that I bought the time emblems in Eugene, and then I would go in here and I would get that dimensional gear if you're getting enough guild coins to actually pick them up. Dimensional gear is good, but it's not an absolute game changer when you look at regular, let's say, tier 2 gear with 5 stars versus having a tier 3 or having a dimensional piece. Not a huge game changer, but there'll be a point where you do want to get the dimensional gear. Now, looking at the barracks here, really looking at the stones. These are the absolute priority to build out or buy out, are these elite hero stones. Now, the reason being that these could be celestials and hypo heroes, which is exactly why you want to pick them up. Now, once you start getting a majority of the heroes completed, like I have on the YouTube account, actually swapping down here and buying the Twisted Essence, but I would never buy the Twisted Essence when there is still a need for heroes themselves, which is the reason why this one is the most important. Looking at our Labyrinth store, this one is looking at really the dimensional heroes that fall within here. This, of course, opens up once you get a little bit further. But when you're looking at what you need to pick up out of here, it is getting the dimensional heroes. The dimensional heroes are super important. If there's an exchange for the dimensional hero, that is going to be priority #1. But looking in here, I would probably just get Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc, of course, has a lot of utility, especially earlier game as a buffer and very easy to get. Short of her, most of the other ones are not being used at all. Unfortunately, even looking at, King Arthur, looking at Wukong, looking at Baba Yaga, and then we are seeing a little play from Robin Hood. I wouldn't say a lot, but overall, if you didn't have Robin Hood, you can sub in another hero. Having an earlier support hero like Joan of Arc, still a pretty good utility. And again, thinking big picture where you're not going to have all of these heroes built, Joan of Arc would still be the priority. So after that, I would look at the dimensional exchange. So the way that we actually do that is the garrison hero. So this is where you can hire heroes to actually build out. And looking, of course, Rem is really the very, very high priority hero to build. And then followed by Amelia in here, and then probably Albedo would be the 3 that I would look at getting out of the garrison shop, just for the simple fact that the rest of them not really being used. And of course, in here, you have to exchange just like we exchange for a brand new a brand new dimensional hero that comes. But again, overall, that would be my choice. I would probably even get Rem first. I would say get Rem first to carry, possibly get Rem and Amelia, and then look at getting the hero out of here. So getting Joan out of here at that point. Then, of course, once you do have these heroes built, these actually turn into, so once I have a copy, they turn into dimensional emblems. I believe it's an emblems of space. You want to get those out. And then, of course, red chests are going to come in here eventually. Now, looking at our challenger store, this one, again, is a little bit interesting when it comes to who to build out down here. So my priority would still be Mulan. Mulan would still be my priority. And the big thing with this, guys, is when you look at the Celestials and the Hypos right up here, and I know that Alna does come in here a little bit later, is overall utility-wise, we're not really seeing them very much at all. Even looking at Alna and Mortis, maybe one copy of Mortis, but overall, Mulan would be a solid choice. I know even looking in here, I would probably go Mulan and then probably build out Alna. Just for the simple fact, campaign-wise, campaign progression, Alna is going to do incredibly well. And then looking at like a Merlin and then a Leonardo to build out of here. There's a lot of stuff in here, guys. And of course, not only the shops here is let's go and look at some of the other shops that we have. So once you get to the point of the Temporal Rift being open, boom, you have the award selection. Now you'll notice that Eugene is in here again. Earlier game, this is going to be a pretty good buy because even looking at the rest of these heroes, the Awakened version of Taylene, Brutus, and Aziz not being used really in any game mode. The Awakened version of Solus still sees a little bit of play. Eugene still does quite a bit of play. But when you look at building out your heroes, now this is going to be massive when it comes to being able to build out essentially all the heroes within AFK Arena, is getting your time emblems and getting your Stargazer scrolls. Now, we don't know exactly when the adjustment should come in. I think it's going to be a patch or two more to alter the probability of the heroes dropping out of there. But overall, the time emblems and essentially the essence are the priority. If you're not building out any of these heroes, I would go ahead and buy the resources or buy the time emblems and the Stargazer scrolls out of here versus getting a hero out of here, just literally getting one copy. Because of course the cost and the return. And when you start getting down here, you can get a lot of time emblems and you can get a lot of Stargazer scrolls out of this if you're pushing all 300 floors. Now, in addition, they did update a lot of the Temporal Rift to include some of the draconic items, of course, to essentially build those out. Now, again, thinking of continuing the shops, the Dragonforge Trials, of course, does have a shop in here. This is the Dragonforge shop. Now, of course, looking at Polina, I would not buy out at all. The priority with all of these stages are the insignias. So knowing that even though the Dragonforge scrolls right here, they're the Wormcrest Spire scrolls, these can be used for the regular summons to get essentially right now 3 of the Draconis heroes. When you look at Hilduin, when you look at Gwen, these are the absolute priority, are these insignias. So out of this shop, 100% buy the insignias in their entirety. They are essentially equivalent to like our time emblems, which have a huge and a much higher difficulty to actually pick those up, which is the reason, again, a big focus when it comes to building those out. And again, the shops that we have in here, because unfortunately the last shop I don't think I have access to at this point. Nightmare Corridor, the Dream Store, oh, it doesn't let us even see it. So we can't get into the Dream Store right now. But again, in there we have insignias, we have time emblems, we have Stargazer scrolls, we do have Draconic, the dragon emblems, or essentially the scrolls. So in there we have the Draconis scrolls, we do have the insignias, and then we also do have the time emblems, and we have the Stargazer scrolls that are in there. If you're not buying a hero, they are the biggest priority to pick up out of there. If you're buying these, you don't have enough to buy a hero. So I know a lot of players were kind of talking about the change. So if you're looking to get the twins, if you're looking to get Frampton out of that final shop, unfortunately, you cannot get the hero out of there because you're not going to have enough resources if you're buying everything else out, which again, a lot of players are a little bit disappointed, want to see some adjustments in the pricing of everything. But as of right now, we are not seeing it. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Definitely have a lot of shops and a lot of places to get resources for summons, as well as building out those heroes. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.